Hey guys, Chris here and welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to do a few things. First, I'm going to update you guys. If you've followed here for a while, then you know I already made my 2021-2022 curriculum picks. So we've made a few tweaks and we've added in a couple of things. So I wanted to share that with you guys. And then I also promised to do a math lessons for living education review. So that's what we've got going on today. So everything that I picked we're still using. We've just added in a few things. So first we've added in elementary U.S. geography and social studies. This course is super fun. There's great recipes in there and you just go state by state. We're going at a pretty slow pace. We do about one state a week. Sometimes we don't even finish a whole state a week, and we're planning to take about 2 years to get through this. But I think it pairs really nicely with America's Story, which is what we're using for history. So this is actually 2 teacher guides that I put together with my Happy Planner. While I've got you here, I'll probably update you guys a little bit on how we're using our discs. Still love them. We're using it a little differently. I took 2 teacher guides, took the books apart, and then punched them and got it all ready to go. And then I've put them like one page after another. So like this is page 37 and you turn it, there's another page 37. So whenever I open up the book, I have all the pages right there that I need to take out to hand out to the kids. We're using this, and then that comes with the Children's Atlas of the USA, which is a great resource even if you're not doing this course. Great pictures and everything. And then there's also the Passport to America, and I love how they cover the same states, but it's not like duplicate information. Another thing we added in, stepping stones. My 3-year-old is not really schooling. He's 3, but he asks for school. So I went ahead and got this. We're going super slow through it, but there's great hands-on activities, super gentle, and then he feels included. So this is a great option. I went ahead and I ordered second teacher guides of both of these. So America's Story and Elementary Zoology. Initially, I had just one of each, and I was going to make copies. That lasted like a week, maybe 2. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is too much work. I'd be like, oh shoot, I forgot to make copies. Hold on. And then I go to make copies, and then I'm like losing the kids. It was too crazy. So I did the same thing with these as I showed you in the other one. So this is 2 teacher guides put together. Here's a page, same page. One other thing that we've added in is the Wonders of Old. I got 2 of these. We were doing the timeline from America's Story just in a binder collectively, like as a group, but my children really wanted to have their own timelines, and I was like, that's a great idea. So anyways, we got these, and I still use the timeline packs, so like the pictures from the timeline packs, and then they also draw some of their own. Oh, and then the last thing that I added in was the family morning basket. So it comes with a bunch of titles for a broad age range. And these books, the Marvels of Creation books, my kids love these books. Right now we're in the Mammals book, but it's so fun. This is also a big hit with especially my youngest. And then there's these, which are the 9 fruits of the Spirit. Right now we're working in love. These are awesome. I love starting our day with this. Now on to math lessons for living education. I think I get asked about math more than anything else when people find out that we use master books. Like, I'm not quite sure. I think maybe because it is out of the box and a little different, but I get a lot of questions about it. So we have used level K through, we're just getting into level 4 with not all the same student, various children. So again, I use these Happy Planner discs, and I put about a quarter's worth of work onto here. So for this child, that is math and language. And I probably should have given like a disclaimer. I am not an expert. I don't have a math degree. I don't have a early childhood development degree. I'm just a homeschool mom who uses this product, and I'm going to share it with you. And I made a video about math lessons for living education like almost exactly a year ago, and this is going to be a lot of the same information probably. We've just been using it for longer. It might seem like your typical, math curricula, K through 6, and the scope and sequence, when you look at it, the same topics are being covered. They might not be covered in the same order at the same time, but throughout the course of the program, your child's going to learn everything that they would learn in any other math curricula. One difference, though, would be that they're leveled and not necessarily grade specific. So just because your child is in first grade doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to be in level 1. There's a broader age range, and it's really skill based. And I really like that you can tailor it to wherever your child is at. And I think this is true for any math that you're putting your child in. So even if you're not using Masterbooks, that whatever program, if they have placement tests, do the placement tests, because especially like if you're transferring from one program to another, or if you're just getting started and you're not really sure where your child's at, maybe you pulled your child from public school, whatever the case may be, it's really important to place them properly in math and language. And so anytime that there's a placement test or guide, highly suggest that you use that to make sure that your child is in the right spot. Really, it's just going to make life a lot easier. The one thing that I really like about this program, the story-based portion of it, my kids sometimes don't like to sit for the stories, but I love the real-world connections that it helps them make. So Angela Odell is the author, and she really takes making math real and practical seriously in this program. When they are introduced to the concept of multiplication, then they're given a story. Like there's one where they have to count toothbrushes for an orphanage, and they're able to use multiplication so that they can do it quickly and accurately, and giving them tangible examples that really have helped my children understand sort of abstract concepts. Because I could say, like what's 2 times 3? But if I say, okay, if I have 3 groups of 2 toothbrushes, how many do I have? It makes it so much clearer for them. Children are encouraged to make these connections to the world around them throughout the program, and also connections to God the Creator and how He uses math and how math is all around us. And they have this great foundation of how we have a God who has created order and who has given us all these tools, and who uses these same principles all over it. We see it in nature and in life cycles and in weather patterns, and math lessons brings all this together for the kids. Worldview is integral to this program, specifically a biblical worldview. I really appreciate that. I'm so grateful for it. So God's word and principles are woven beautifully throughout the lessons, and it really helps guide the children on this discovery of who God is. I'm sure that I talked about this in my last video that I did on math lessons, but just a friendly forewarning, if you do read the stories, which I highly recommend that you do, I think they offer a lot to the program. And it may not be true for your kids, but for mine, it made them very excited about gardening and farm life and all these things that the twins got to experience. So we ended up with a vegetable garden that my daughter planted and cultivated and worked on. And obviously, we helped her, but she really spearheaded that. We also now have a fun little flock of chickens. That didn't take long to take root in our family, but it's great. They collect the eggs, they count the eggs. It's math, right? It's learning. I don't believe it starts using typical quizzes and tests until level 6, so like the very last level of this series. Instead, it focuses more on narration. They have projects where they can show what they've learned to assess where the child's at, not like, here's a quiz, can you do it? But update, if you buy Practice Makes Perfect, there are quarterly quizzes in there that you can use. So if you prefer a quiz method, or you need quizzes for your state requirements, maybe you have an umbrella school and you have to show work or something, then that is an option. I personally love narration. I could do a whole video on narration itself. I feel like it gives the children the opportunity to, in a more low stakes, lower pressure, show what they do know. I feel like a lot of times testing, one, it's a little nerve-wracking, and yes, our kids need to learn how to test, but when they're young and they're just starting out, I don't feel the need to put the pressure on them personally, and we live in a state where we don't have to standardize tests. So if your children do, then I highly suggest that you prep them for that, and they need to learn how to test, but my children aren't there yet. So for us, narration, I love it. I felt like with testing, sometimes it's like catching what they don't know instead of giving them the opportunity to show what they do know. So especially if you've got a struggling learner, giving them a topic or prepping them that they're going to need to give a narration. You don't have to phrase it like that, but I might say, okay, so next week you're going to show your sisters how to do double digit addition, and I'm going to watch, and I want you to teach them how to do it. I want you to explain how you do this. And then my daughter can practice that and get prepared and then show us. I think teaching somebody else, or knowing that you need to teach somebody else how to do something, makes a huge difference when you're struggling with something. I think that you learn it better when you're teaching than you ever do when somebody else is teaching it to you when you're the learner. So anyways, I love putting my kids in the role of teacher, and they always think it's super fun. So another thing, of course, I have to mention the affordability of this program. Each book is like $30, somewhere around there. That's insane. If you've been in like the homeschool curriculum world for any amount of time and you've looked at other math programs, it gets expensive, especially if there's a lot of manipulatives that are needed. We used to use Horizons, and we would get these big boxes of manipulatives. It was so expensive. Masterbooks has a section in the back where you can, like the clock, you laminate it, you make your own. They use, beans for counting. There's a lot of household items. Everything that you need is in there. Like, I've never come across something and been like, oh, we don't have this. So it's either an easily accessible or substitutional, is that a word? Item, like household item, something you could substitute easily or that you'd probably have on hand, or it's in the back of the book. I also love that everything is right in one work text, except for level 6. You have a teacher guide, but it's still pretty minimal. I mean, look at all my kids' math is right there. These books are in full color. They've got great illustrations. They're fun and peppy. It doesn't seem to be distracting, at least for my kids. In these courses, you're not going to find pages and pages of repetition and drilling and review. I find that there is enough explanation and then practice and review for my kids to progress and to understand the concepts. If not, there's always the practice makes perfect. But I appreciate that my kids are not asked to do 50 problems when they've shown after 5 that they understand the concept. So most of the teaching is written right into the course. Occasionally there's like these little gray boxes that are like note to parent that might explain something or give you a heads up if you're going to need something for the next lesson, like if there's a recipe coming up or something like that. But generally, everything's written to the student. As my kids have gotten older, I've been able to kind of set them up, help them get started. They can work a little bit and then come to me when they have questions. Being able to work a little bit more independently has been really helpful, especially when I've got younger ones starting out that need more one-on-one help. These books have the section in the back with all the manipulatives, the solutions manual, and I will take all these out and put them in my teacher binder. It also has the Masterbooks staple, the suggested daily schedule, which I love. Even though we use a planner, which this year I got the Mardell, a simple plan, I still find these super helpful. I take them all out and I put them in a big binder, and then I use them like a checklist. So as I'm filling out our week, I don't have to pull out all of these books or all the workbooks or whatever. Math Lessons is a mastery approach. It teaches one concept at a time and builds upon that, but it does implement spiral review. This is scheduled for 5 days a week, a 36-week school year, your typical 180-day school year. The first few weeks are review, and then the last few weeks are kind of review also. And so if you're using them back to back, you can kind of work quickly through those. But if you take a summer break, it's super nice to ease back into the next level and get a bit of a refresher of what you're supposed to do. We love this program. It's worked really great for us. We started with a more typical for the classroom approach program. We used Horizons. Obviously it is homeschool curriculum, but it's very much like what you would have gotten in the classroom. And my oldest started with that, and she had an aptitude for math and she enjoyed it, and it didn't take long for her to get really burnt out. We actually first started with Masterbooks with Foundations Phonics, and when that was going so well for another child of mine, I thought, why don't we try the math? It's night and day. The one who had the aversion to math loves it again, is enjoying it, is progressing. My other children who have only used that also have had great experiences with it. So whether your child struggles or your child has an aptitude for math, I think this program is really adaptable to a broad spectrum of students. If you've been looking at Math Lessons for Living Education, I hope this sort of explained it a bit. If you have questions about the course, I'll answer as best as I can. All right, that's all that I've got for you guys today. So stay tuned. I'm going to try to be more consistent with posting. I've kind of been all over the place, but life is really busy. I'm sure you guys understand. But I do enjoy this. So thank you for being here and giving me this outlet to just chat about curriculum. So if you have any questions or any videos that you want, any overviews of courses, just let me know in the comments and I'll try to make it happen. Until next time, happy schooling.